Thanks for coming today. My name is Ivan Weber. I'm a longtime Kennecott watcher and worked for Kennecott as a contract employee during most of the 90s. I'm here to turn our focus toward water, which happens not to be, strictly speaking, a public health issue so much as an ecological issue, though the night is young, as they say. I've brought a few slides. Please switch to the next one. This is a reminder that Kennecott was once a small hole in the ground. This is kind of partway through its development in the 1930s, while there was still not just one town up Bingham Canyon, but a whole series of them. And as the preceding speaker indicated, mines expand. It's just kind of what they do. If they don't, they die. And this is a predilection that mining companies have that some would suggest may not be, strictly speaking, necessary. The mine has been piling up waste rock. You can see a bit of it visible in the right of this slide. Next slide, please, Brian. As mines expand, they produce an accumulation of waste rock. Waste rock is generally described as being sort of inert. It doesn't have what you want, and so you toss it over here in a pile. The distinction between what is ore and not ore on any given day may not be the same as it was on a preceding day. It depends on the economics of metals and the metallurgy of the ore that you're processing. So you can have material in this dump, which is actually perhaps over here still valuable. You know, on those days when the dumping was taking place this is the Keystone dump, the largest of the dumps that you see when you're approaching the visitors center on the road from the former town of Lark. So the constituency of this can change. Next slide, please. What is our concern here is iron pyrite, fool's gold, FES2, to the grade school mineralogists among us, of which I am still one. It is a glittery, beautiful mineral that captures all our imaginations, and kids still dig it out in little tiny pebbles up at the visitors center. Just outside, they have a box of what looks like dirt, but it's got some pyrite scattered through it. With the help of some iron oxidizing bacteria, it degrades into sulfuric acid and a complex of sulfates, and that sulfuric acid becomes what we call acid mine drainage. These are just some relatively close-up photos of some of the streams that you'll see here and there in mining impacted areas. And this water right here is a pH under 3, which means that it picks up just about every other metal in the waste rock that might happen to be available: cadmium, zinc, lead, the full spectrum, and especially massive amounts of aluminum. So these metals are a problem for the environment. And as it happens, next slide please, this acid mine drainage continues to go downhill. If you're lucky, you can capture it and put it in a reservoir. Problem in this case, this is the Large Bingham Reservoir in about 1989 or 1990. That's right below the town of Copperton. It's been cleaned up and lined and now has some really nasty looking water in it that I suspect shouldn't be there according to the permit. But this reservoir leaked like a sieve. By Kennecott's own account, 1 million gallons to 7 million gallons per day leaked into the aquifer, and next slide please, produced this part of the plume in the groundwater. And these other parts took place over a longer period of time, but this part that has red and purple at its core took place only over about 27 years. So around 10,000 days of contamination produced one of the world's largest and most severe groundwater contamination plumes. Kennecott's solution to that has been to treat it, quote unquote, with reverse osmosis, separating the drinking water, or what could be made into drinking water, that'll go down to the south, to the Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District, and then send the contamination Where? Where else? To the Great Salt Lake. Some of it goes to the tailings pond, some of the constituents, some of the contaminants get caught in the tailings, but some of the crucial ones do not, selenium being the one of greatest concern. So this is what happens when mines expand. They prepare for dealing with the world based on regulatory requirements and whatever their equilibrium was before the expansion. And so now this brings up a great many questions about the future. Can they handle the products of this new enormous burden of waste rock that's going to be piled on the mountain with the interception system that was designed for what existed prior to this? I can tell you from my experience that it was not anticipated that this expansion would be taking place when the current interception system was built. And so we have a lot of questions about whether another 1 billion or so tons of waste rock piled on the mountain and the acid mine drainage that will be produced from that waste rock, whether that can be handled by Kennecott's systems. These are serious questions, and as far as we can tell, they've not even been asked, much less answered. So Rio Tinto is named after a place in Spain called the Red River. Unfortunately, this is not a photograph of it. The photograph of the real Rio Tinto, not affiliated with the company, is much more severe than this. This is a pretty picture compared to the photographs of the actual Rio Tinto in Spain. So this is a very serious question, though. What's to keep it from happening again, and is it actually happening now? There's a great time lag between the time you put this waste rock on the ground and the time the acid mine drainage mobilizes into groundwater or into surface waters that are either managed or not. And we think these are serious enough questions, considering the way Kennecott's been managing it, and with the complicity of the state, DWQ, Division of Water Quality. The Great Salt Lake seems to be the receiving body of choice for these wastes, and this is a worldwide pattern. The mining industry dumps things into water bodies. It's just a kind of universal, and it's frankly not acceptable if you care about the Great Salt Lake and its several million migratory waterfowl and shorebirds. Thank you.